Hi, I'm Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. I've got a really fun project for you today. Let's take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this great? It's so fun. I love how the blocks offset, and this is the block you're making right here. I call it the T block because it looks like a T, but it's super, super easy, and I can't wait to show you how to do it. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is one packet of 10-inch squares. You're going to need 42 of them in a packet. Be sure and check the number. And don't be fooled. Sometimes they wrap those 10-inch squares, you know, in like this all wrapped up, and it's so cute, but they're still just 10-inch squares. So make sure and check those labels. We've used Bumble by Tula Pink for Free Spirit. Such a cute line. I love it. I just love how it came together. For our middle piece here, we used a packet of 2.5-inch strips, and we used the gray. And you're going to use, you're probably going to use, I don't know, about 33 strips, but it comes out to about 2.5 yards if you want to cut your own yardage and cut your own strips. But I just used a packet of 2.5-inch strips that were gray, and it worked perfectly. So let me show you how to make this block. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our pre-cut, and we're going to get out our little 10-inch squares. And we've got them here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our square, just like this, and we're going to cut off 4 inches. So let me move these out of the way so make sure you can see everything. So we're going to cut off 4 inches here, just like this. And then you have these two pieces. You have a 6-inch piece now and a 4-inch piece. You want to put those in 2 separate piles, and so I have mine laid out over here. Then you're going to need your pieces for your strip in between, because this is what we're looking at. We're looking at putting a strip right here in between the 2 blocks and then one across the top. So the first strip, it goes right in between the blocks. It's going to be 10 inches. So let's cut a 10-inch piece off of here. And you can actually stack these up and, you know, cut quite a few at a time of these. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right here. Always better to count than to cut the wrong size. So this is the piece now that's going to go in between our 2 blocks. So when you're ready to sew your block up, you want to take you want to mix up your colors. So I'm going to take a 6-inch piece of this color and a 4-inch piece of this one, and we're going to put them like this, and we're going to sew this gray strip right down the center, just like that. So I'm going to start with the 4-inch side and put it on top of the gray and sew that right down. So let's head over here. I'm ahead of you today. I'm already at the sewing machine, but we're going to head over here to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch right down the side. And then we're going to iron this back. You can actually sew both sides on, but you know, it makes it a little bit neater. Now I've pressed this so that this seam line is now on the gray side, and what that's going to do is it's kind of raise that up a little bit, and we're going to sew this big 6-inch piece here on the other side, 1/4 inch all the way down. All right, let's make sure this is even. Line those up nice and perfectly. All right, then if you actually sew a perfect 1/4 inch, if you sew a perfect 1/4 inch, your next cut is going to be 11.5. But you want to measure yours to make sure that that's what size it is. So then you're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and measure this, and go ahead and cut it. And it should be 11.5. But you know what, if you have a wider seam allowance or a more narrow one, you just want to make sure they're all the same. It's consistency that's important with what I do, not perfection. So we're going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.5. Just like that. And then we're going to put our T on the top. Make the top of our T is what I meant to say. We're going to put our next strip on the top right here, and we're going to put it right sides down. Now when you do this, it's important that your 6-inch block is always on your left-hand side, and then we're just going to sew that piece onto the top like this. If you make sure that when you put this top piece on, that your 6-inch piece is always on that left-hand side, then it will make the pattern that you see in the quilt hanging behind me, and it just comes out really, really fun the way it lays together. All right, so now we're going to press this back. And this is the block you're looking for right here, is this one right here. And it's just super easy. So let me show you how this whole quilt goes together, because you're gonna love this. So right here, we have a row, and you can see, here's your T block right here, right here. And this whole row stays the same direction like this, just all the way down. The next row, you're gonna put them together so they flip upside down like this. And that's what makes this stair-steppy thing happen, which is so cool. So for the layout on this quilt, you're going to have 42 blocks. So you're going to have 6 blocks across by 7 blocks down. And remember, you're going to put 1 block up, 1 whole row that way, and then the next block upside down, going up. And so it just goes together really quickly and really easy. The yardage that I gave you, the gray 2.5-inch strip yardage, that is going to take care of all your strips plus this first border. Your second border is a 5-inch border, and we used 1.5 yards for that. So it's super easy to put together and super fast. This is also one of those blocks that's really great to use if you have bigger fabric that you don't want to cut small. Because sometimes we have that fabric that just lends itself to a bigger pattern. And I want to show you something that I did. So not all fabric comes in pre-cuts, you know, and so I have some of this Spider-Man fabric. This is so fun. This is one of those projects that I want to spread it out here so you can see all this. This is one of those projects where sometimes you can only buy yardage. So I bought a whole bunch of 1/2 yard pieces of Spider-Man fabric because there are several little boys in my family who happen to love Spider-Man. And I just went ahead and did the same T block. You can see here's your T and the Spider-Man ones, and I just put them together and put it out, and it made it really fun because these are bigger cuts, you know, we're not talking tiny little pieces where you're trying to see Spider-Man. So if you have some fabric that's bigger that you'd love to use, this is great for any of this novelty kind of fabric or fabric that has a bigger pattern in it that you don't want to lose. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial today on the T block from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.